Hi guys, I'm James McIntosh and today I'm joined with the world's youngest chairman, Sartej Tucker. Sartej, we were just saying before we even got into the interview, I think it's amazing what you guys have done. And how did this opportunity even come around?
Yeah, so it was the summer of 2019 and well, we can go back a bit before that. It was actually the start of 2019 and my mate Lodge, who's currently the club secretary and director of football, he put group of us into a Facebook Messenger group chat and said, right boys, we're taking over a football club. And initially I thought it was a bit of a joke. I thought, what is this, like a road to Division 1? Is it something to do with FIFA, Football Manager? And as time wore on, it kind of became clear that this was actually a serious project. And so we jumped forward to the summer of 2019, in fact June the 3rd of 2019, and we became the youngest owners of a football club at that time at the age of 19. There were 7 of us initially. And I guess since then the rest has been history really.
And that's crazy. So I'm only 18 myself, and I would say the challenges you get for being this age, you get a lot of people overlook yourselves, and being the owner of the club, I would imagine you would have so many people making jokes, and I suppose the only way you could really prove them wrong is by getting results and really showing yourselves to them.
Yeah, it's exactly that. I think when we took over there was a huge sense of apprehension towards, who are these kids? They're 19. As you know, non-league is very traditional in its ways. A lot of the people involved in the game, certainly at the upper ends of clubs and boardrooms, have been involved in the game for 50, 60 years, some of them. So for them to see people coming into boardrooms who were, teenagers at the time was,
quite daunting.
They were quite taken aback by it. And to that end, we had to kind of earn that respect. It's not given to you, it's not granted. You really, over a course of years, have to go out and gain that respect. So that was the initial challenge in the first couple of years, is people kind of getting to terms with the fact that, we were young, we did have a fresh approach on things. But ultimately, as time moved on, people started to buy into what we were doing, and I think they took to us and our ideas much better once we'd been able to prove it over a period of years.
Yeah, well, exactly that. And I feel like you mentioned there, so a lot of people in non-league, it's a lot older. So our chairman, Ian McIntosh, I think he's in his 70s, but obviously being young, we're meant to be, I suppose, really the pioneers of this social media age. And I'd say Walton and Hersham, that's really been your USP. So your TikTok, it's blown up, your Instagram page is all blown up. And I would say it's really given Walton and Hersham a USP, and now you've gone global.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's one of the things that we identified quite early on, was that there's this massive opportunity within social media, particularly TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, these kind of short form content platforms now that are being more driven towards stuff like Reels, etc. And we jumped on that. There was a massive opportunity when there wasn't much content filling that space, particularly from a non-league perspective, and we went really hard with telling our story, and that coincided with a period of massive success for the club back when we were in step 5 and 4 and doing really, really well near the tops of leagues in back-to-back seasons. So we really benefited from that. It's something that we made the effort to jump on, and I guess when you're in charge of the club, you get to make that your club's remit. You get to make it the most important thing that you're doing. Whereas if you're in another structure, a different club, as say a media guy in your role, you have to go and sell it to the people at the top, say the board or the chair or whatever. So there was never that problem for us. We wanted to do something, we did it, and we had the budget for it, and we allocated money for media or live streams or whatever it may have been. So we were able to shape the club in that way, and I guess it's something you can only really do if you have that level of control at the top.
Well, it's actually really interesting you mentioned about having that control, because I would say for a lot of Walton and Hersham, so the content you have been making, it's been really cool content. So I remember, I think it was Eddie Simon, he got so many hat-tricks in consecutive games. And I suppose was this almost you trying to create this ethos at the club, which would result with entertaining content that could go out?
It's exactly that, and I think the thing about non-league and what people were able to buy into and still buy into when they see a lot of non-league content, it's so raw. It's really football at its purest form. And when they see amazing things go on, like the hat-tricks record or 3 consecutive promotions, it really just puts football into context in terms of comparing. You could be watching one thing, scroll down, the next thing could be non-league, and you really see the difference and the human side that non-league entails. And I think that's why so many people have bought into us. And you see the growth of non-league not only on social media, but clubs everywhere. I mean, you can look at almost every single club in our league. If you compare the average attendance, the vast majority of clubs within our league today to what they were 5 years ago, almost all of the clubs now are 50% higher in even the lowest context. I mean, Gosport, you see some of your guys' attendances have been fantastic this season. You compare that to maybe pre-COVID, who are nowhere near as high. So I think non-league has really come leaps and bounds. I think media has been a massive part of that. I think the barriers to entry to having a successful brand have never been lower. It really just takes having a mobile phone and an internet connection. and a group of people running that who are really passionate about their club. So I don't think it takes much. It really just takes dedication and understanding how to put your story out there.
Well, I think you guys are doing a brilliant job. And before we got into this interview, you were saying, I think you've got 3 promotions so far since being in charge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane. And I suppose it's only going to keep going up. Is the next aim trying to get to National League South?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's the natural step, isn't it? We're in this league now. We're an ambitious club. We want to make that step up. Obviously, promotions are never guaranteed. It's having done 3 of them. I know it's easy to say, like, you know, but they're hard to do, especially in a league like this now, where you've got so many very good clubs with such talented players, all the way from, you know, the entire top half of the table really have a chance of going up. So it's tough. Obviously, we do want to make that step up, but that will come in time, and we'll just need to, you know, keep winning football games.
So the next 10 years, well, could you see the Swans ending up?
I don't know what I'm doing next week, let alone 10 years time. So as I said, we take it week by week. We want to really be able to push the club forward. We're all ambitious, the people within the club. We're quite a lean operation in terms of the people behind the club, the board, the ownership, but I think we're really kind of hard-working core of people who all pull in the same direction. So I guess in the next couple of years, however long that may be, we want to make that step up to the National South, at which point, you know, we have to do other things like upgrade the ground. We want an academy system. There are other kind of ancillary things that will feed into the long-term growth of the club. But really, it just comes down to the week to week. We just want to, you know, keep winning football matches every Saturday, and I guess that is conducive to the long-term success of the club.
Well, definitely. And I think you've almost inspired a lot of people who will be watching this video, maybe youngsters, that they can do it and they can go out. So what advice, being in that similar position, would you give to maybe other 18-year-olds?
Yeah, I wouldn't advise them to try and buy a football club. I don't think it's necessarily the wisest thing to do. I think it was a moment of fortune that struck us all, and there were a certain set of conditions that made it viable for us. So I wouldn't particularly recommend it to anyone else. With that said, what I would recommend is definitely just find a way to get involved with your local club, because there are so many fantastic local clubs out there. I mean, you look across the country, there's 800, 900 or so non-league clubs within step 1 down to step 7. Every single one of those needs volunteers, and particularly on the media side, on the brand side, on the marketing side, because that's how clubs grow. If you don't focus on that as a club, you're never going to be able to grow. And really just about tapping up the right people at the club, the people who make decisions, and say, look, I want to do this, here's my vision, here's my plan, this is where I think the club can be in a year or two's time, and then work hard towards executing that. But, you know, if you want to get involved at a non-league club, I don't think there are any that will turn you down, really.
Oh, but brilliant stuff, Sartej. It's been a brilliant speaking to you. I think I'll have to stick with FIFA when creating my own club. So yeah, brilliant speaking to you. And I suppose maybe end this interview, out of gospel, we say this little catchphrase, up the borough. So I was thinking maybe we could do something like up the Swans to end it.
Yeah, up the Swans. Hope we have a good game of football today. Excited for it. And yeah, let's see how it goes.
Well, brilliant speaking to you, mate.
Yeah, cheers,
and thanks
James.
for the time.
Yeah.